Hello everyone, welcome to my video on a tier list of every single LA Noire case. I've got them all set up here. I've got 5 tiers. I've got iconic, the type of case which just instantly comes to mind when you think about this game. Great, they may not be quite on the same level as iconic, but they've got very few flaws. Good, they've got a few problems throughout, but for the most part are fairly enjoyable. Flawed, they've got some potential, but mostly are brought down by some bad choices, and trash is just the bottom of the barrel. So we're going straight ahead with the patrol desk and our very first case, Upon Reflection. I'm going to put Upon Reflection in good. I feel like it's the least handholdy of all of the tutorial missions, and it's the only one I can really remember mostly, apart from Buyer Beware, which I'm going to put there like it's meant to be. Next, Warrants Outstanding, flawed. It's just you chase the guy who's got a warrant and then you fight him. It's very limited, very short. It's pretty pointless really, and that goes the same with Armed and Dangerous. It's just a gunfight. There's not really much to it. And Buyer Beware, I'm struggling to think if it should be good or flawed really. I think my big problem with it is how handholdy all the interrogation questions are. But for now I'm going to put it in good. I feel like it tries to teach you what each one means, what good cop, what bad cop, and what accused means. But it tells you like that's the thing you need to use. And I'd rather have had the last tutorial mission be a bit more like take the training wheels off and let you try and use what you've learned to figure out what to do. But unfortunately that wasn't the case. Next we go on to traffic, probably my favorite desk. Well, it's definitely my favorite desk of all, and the driver's seat. The driver's seat is iconic. We all know the driver's seat if you played the game. It's the one where the guy fakes his death by leaving behind a car filled with pig blood. That is just iconic. It may be a bit simple, maybe a bit short, but it's something we all remember. The console's car, it's our first DLC case, and quite frankly, it's probably the worst of traffic. It's fairly boring. It's just a Grand Theft Auto, really. It's just someone stole a car and then stole the wheels off of it. It's also fairly simple. It does end with a nice little like drag race where you got to take him off the road at the end, but I think the console's car is just going to be good. A Marriage Made in Heaven is very, very good in my opinion. In fact, I would say it's great. It's the one where a man walks in front of a car and gets involved in, well, he's killed by a hit and run basically, right? So manslaughter. But then you find out that that wasn't what killed him. It was a knife wound beforehand from his wife who wanted the insurance payout. It's got a very good deceptive bit, and my favorite part about it is how there's the knife you can find early on if you know where it is. But if not, then you've got to go back to like the very first crime scene, and it's like this massive crucial detail was just there the whole time and you just didn't know. Slip of the Tongue is the second DLC case. This one is a big Grand Theft Auto ring, like a carjacking ring, and it's very difficult. It's probably the first difficult case. There's a lot of people who are difficult to read, a lot of sleazy car salesmen who are always lying to you, but you just don't know how. And I think I'm going to have to put it in great again. It may not be iconic, but it is one of the better ones on traffic. It might be a bit better than The Marriage Made in Heaven, I don't know. And then we end it with The Fallen Idol. This is the one where the actress and the young actress who's being like manipulated by Hollywood are in a car accident near the police department. Someone's attempted to murder them by wedging a prop underneath the accelerator and send them off a cliff. It is very straightforward and simple, and you don't get like an actual... it ends with a shootout, so it's very different than everything else. Like, you don't really arrest someone. You do at the end, but it ends with this massive set piece. But on the good hand, it's one of the better set pieces. The big fight on the old movie studio definitely puts this in iconic. Next we move on to Homicide. We've got the red lipstick murder. I don't remember many specifics about the red lipstick murder. I just remember it being great. I feel like my one problem with Homicide is I don't know if I could put any of them in iconic, because they're all kind of very similar. I think I will put one in iconic though. But the red lipstick murder has to go into great. I do remember it being good and everything, but I don't remember specifics. But when it comes to iconic, I think the golden butterfly is definitely up there. There's a great choice between if it's the husband or this creepy pedophile. And, you know, you kind of want to get rid of the creepy pedophile, but the husband seems to be more, you know, evidence leading towards him. And it starts giving you that question of, have these murders been copycats or is it the same guy? Are we arresting the right person? Like, if not, then why is the husband so suspicious? It definitely, I think, is the peak of Homicide. Because of that, the silk stocking murder, another great one, but it doesn't reach the same heights, in my opinion. The white shoe slaying is when things start to get a bit samey, so I'm going to put that in good. It's very, very similar and just keeps on going on. And the studio secretary murder, I feel like this is when I started getting bored of it. I started getting bored of just going, there's a dead woman, it's always the same. I want to get rid of this killer now. So I'm going to put that in flawed. I think it stretched out the runtime way too much. We could have taken this one out. We didn't need so many homicide cases. Finally, the Quarter Moon murders, the final homicide thing, is the most unique case in the game. Because you're not got a crime scene, you don't interrogate anyone, you're following clues. And because of that, it's also trash. Because it may be unique, but unique doesn't mean good. Because either, if it's your first time playing, you're probably going to spend like an hour or two trying to figure out what to do, where to go, or whatever. And if it's not your first time playing, you can get through this very quickly, just going from place to place. There's little set pieces, but it's like bounce across a chandelier, walk through some tar pits. It's nothing really interesting. The only kind of interesting part is the shootout at the end, but that's in a very dark, dingy hallways where you can get turned around easily and get lost. And the most disappointing part is because the entirety of Homicide is based on the Black Dahlia murders and being, you know, an unsolvable crime. We solve it, but then because of his status, we're not allowed to tell anyone. No one knows who committed it. Everyone's just let go cleanly. No one cares, and it just feels like Homicide is a waste of our time at that point. But now going on to one of my other favorite deaths, Vice, with the Black Caesar. Black Caesar, 100% iconic. It's the reason, it's probably my favorite case overall. Okay, and just to tell it, like, show you that, I'm putting that all the way over to the left. I'll organize everything in a bit, but the Black Caesar is like Jesus Christ. The morphine distribution ring is incredibly intriguing. The fact that it ties in with Cole Phelps' past and a bunch of characters we've been learning about is great. And the whole thing about it, like, it's just, I can't say a bad word about the Black Caesar. I think it is perfectly paced, got plenty of twists and turns. It's not always so obvious what's happening, but right at the end, it all comes together in a fun and satisfying way. Then we got our first DLC case for Reefer Madness, well, for Vice, which is Reefer Madness, where we're taking down a marijuana distribution ring. It's alright. It's nice to piece together this little ring, but it's fairly simple. It kind of goes on for a little bit too long. And, I mean, there's some interesting parts where you, like, unlock the secret room in the shed to the cans filled with marijuana and the silver coins which link everyone together. So I'm just going to put in great, I think. It needs a little bit more to be iconic. The setup is probably the only dredge in Vice, in my opinion. Here we're looking for a guy who was paid to take a fall in a boxing match, and he refused. And this is where we start to get to know, like, the gangsters and Royale a bit more, about how he's a bit more of a piece of shit than we already knew. But it's got this awful tailing, like, on-foot tailing mission in the middle of it. And on-foot tailing is awful. And there's only two cases of shit. One of them is this. The end set piece, like the end part as a whole, where the woman gets shot in the bathroom and then you go to the theater and try and deal with everyone. That's great. I love it. I love when you just, in the abandoned theater, you just hear people shouting and some shots. So I'm going to put this in flawed. I think the biggest problem for it is the on-foot tailing mission. Like, part of it. That's the worst. The Naked City has a similar thing. It does have an on-foot tailing. It's probably even worse than setup, but it also has a more intriguing premise overall. We have a woman who was overdosed, but then we find out that it was a forced overdose because she worked as a part of a burglary ring, and we've got to like slowly take that down, and the threads like untangle beautifully. And I think even with that tailing mission, I hate the tailing mission, but I got put in great. There's so many little like twists and turns. There's people who you just wouldn't expect to be involved just show up out of nowhere, and it's like, oh my god, it's made perfect sense. But like, everyone you find is guilty in some way, and it's great. Manifest Destiny is the end of Vice. Here, everything starts to come together. We finally taken down that morphine distribution ring, and we get to meet a lot of Cole Phelps's not really friends, but other Marine members. I won't call them colleagues because I don't know, it's not like an office job, and they don't really like him that much. Like, a lot of them straight up lie to you, but they're being hunted down by the gangsters who are trying to also, you know, get in on this distribution ring, and it all ties together very nicely. It does, unfortunately, like, I wish in the middle, instead of the setup, we had something else to do with the morphine distribution ring, but that isn't Manifest Destiny's fault. That's the setup's fault. I'm going to put this in iconic. I think when the guy with the bar is shooting down at the bus, it's great. The one little slip up is more to do with the story of a whole, and I don't like how Cole has to cheat on his wife. I feel like it's cheap. It comes out of nowhere. It doesn't fit his character, and it doesn't really have a lot of emotional impact because before that moment, you only see his wife and kids once in like the intro cutscene, and that's like it. They're never seen again until you cheat on her, and then she like throws you out. And then at the end, when Cole dies, spoiler alert, they're sitting there at the funeral, like all of them. It all seems a bit weird. I mean, I understand why they'd be at the funeral, but I feel like the whole cheating on his wife was more of a way to get easy, like, hate towards Cole Phelps, and a way to get you out of Vice into Arson. While you could have done something like the Marines exposing Cole for not being like an actual war hero and being more of a coward. But I don't know. I don't write stories. I don't know what to do. I'm not a professional writer, so who am I, guys? Who am I to say anything, you know? Speaking of Arson, our first Arson case, it's the Gas Man. This one's alright. I don't like Arson as a whole that much. Like, it's not fun going around burnt down houses just picking up burnt trash and most of it being useless, and you're looking around for this tiny little thing. So I think I've got to put the Gas Man in good. It's got none of the more interesting part. Well, it starts to like sow the seeds for the more interesting parts of Arson later, such as a walk in Elysian Fields, where we start to open up that conspiracy with Leland Monroe. I think that's the best part of this, is getting to see how much of a slime ball he is in person. I definitely think he's the thing which puts a walk in Elysian Fields up to great. Other than that, it would just be good, probably. House of Sticks, I'm torn on this, because I like playing as Jack Kelso. I like the dichotomy with him and Cole. I like how Jack Kelso is basically everything Cole appears to be. Like, he's just a better man than him, really. But I am also like, it's a bit weird changing it so late in the game. He doesn't have a partner, so driving around is pointless. You might as well just skip to destinations. But he does also get in some interesting situations, like where he gets put in the back of the car. So I'm thinking I'm going to put this one in good. Then we've got a polite invitation. I think the thing which really excels the polite invitation is its ending, where you raid Leland Marone's mansion with your Marine buddies, and you interrogate him after putting a bullet hole in his leg. I feel like that's what elevates this to great. Everything else is just kind of good. It's just more Arson, but that puts it up to great. And the moment where he confronts his boss at the beginning, I think that's actually great as well. So I'm going to put that there. Nicholson and electroplating are only DLC case for Arson, and we're back with Cole Phelps and Herschel Biggs. I'm tempted to put this in iconic. Probably not. It's like a DLC case as well. But the fact, like, it starts off with a massive, like, nuke, and it's just so... It's so crazy, but you gotta love it. And if you get to that point, it's definitely the thing which stands out in Arson among all this conspiracy, which has just come out of nowhere and is a bit rushed. I feel like it's a nice break of pace and just gives a more enjoyable experience with espionage as well. And it's also wacky and weird, but it's fun. So I'm going to put it in iconic, I think. It may not fit with all the rest as much, but for me, it's iconic. A different kind of war is our very last case. This one, you know, as usual, it's got a set piece kind of thing. It's you going back and forth between Jack Kelso and Cole Phelps, going over a couple of crime scenes, finally piecing everything together, finding out that one of your old Marine buddies, Ira Hogaboom, is the guy who's responsible for the arsons, and you put him out of his misery, save Elsa, and then finally Cole Phelps does something heroic for once and sacrifices himself. It has to be iconic. There is no other place to put the ending to this game other than iconic. Everyone remembers the flash flood which kills Cole Phelps. It's a bit of a strange way for him to die, but I feel like it is definitely a iconic case. And overall, I'm just going to go through it. I think Black Caesar, definitely my favourite. Driver's Seat, second favourite. I would put Manifest Destiny above The Fallen Idol. I think it's a better set piece. And I think Golden Butterfly is better. And A Different Kind of War. And I think Nicholson and electroplating as well, actually. I'm going to do it like that. That's my iconic list. I think Manifest Destiny is... I like it more than A Different Kind of War. But A Different Kind of War is mostly... Because A Different Kind of War is mostly up there just because it's like the end. But I feel like Manifest Destiny does some stuff better, really. A Marriage Made in Heaven is pretty good. Well, great. A Slip of the Tongue is great. I think... I like A Slip of the Tongue more than A Marriage Made in Heaven. I like The Naked City. I mean, ooh, The Naked City above Reefer Madness is a bit... It's a bit strange. I'm going to put like that. The Silk Stocking Murders can go down to the bottom. I think the Red Lipstick Murder can go past the Walk in Elysian Fields, and A Polite Invitation goes in front of it. Then, Upon Reflection and Buyer Beware are definitely at the bottom of the good. They're not at the top. Then, I think the White Shoe Slaying, the Console Car, and then the Gas Man. And then, oh... House of Sticks for Console Car, then the Gas Man actually is going to be our good with our tutorial ones left. The same with here, the tutorials can go at the bottom. I don't care. I don't think one of them's better than the other. They're both just kind of crap. Studio Secretary Murder, I at least enjoyed more than the setup, I think. I was getting tired of Homicide at that point, but the setup just feels so pointless. Even more pointless than the Studio Secretary Murder. And the Quarter Moon Murders, definitely at the bottom. But yeah, here's my entire tier list. Like, you could tell most of it is very top heavy. I think LA Noire is a great game. Most of the cases are great, and it's the best in its little niche. But it's got a few drops throughout, and the worst part is like some of them are like during the middle of the game and the end of the game is where it really drops most of the time. Like, its beginning is its strongest. So there's definitely, I could see people, you know, getting to like the Quarter Moon Murders and just giving up because what's the point anymore? Which would be sad to hear, but yeah, that's what I've got for that. I've enjoyed playing LA Noire a lot. If you want to see my playthrough of it, I've got a playlist linked in the description below. And join me next time as I start a new series playing Prey. Till then, see you guys later.